In this life in the rainforest, there are many extremes. Incredible beauty, unbelievable biodiversity, and a wondrous sense of connection with all plants, animals, and water systems. But there is also extreme weather. November is the season of wild thunderstorms, lightning that strikes so close that the whole house shakes, and rainbows that form against the bruised skies. We always view it as a gift to live in touch with all of these extremes and feel deeply in the wonder of the world. Between storms and incredibly hot weather, we're renovating our old shed in the rainforest into a magical art studio. So far, learning to build has been a massive journey, with both ups and downs. This week, a huge storm came and destroyed a lot of progress, but it's all part of the journey, and we're learning so much as we go.
There is huge weather coming this week, so we are trying to prepare everything for that. So the job is just to get everything done so that we can take the scaffolding down, so that we can take the tarp down, so that we can completely waterproof this, so that if the storm does come, it doesn't hurt everything.
Uncle Adam helped me to set up the scaffolding before he left to do some real work. Now it's just me, Julia, and Mum, 3 women alone in the forest learning to build. It's a bit daunting, but so exciting too. Whatever we create, we always create with a zero waste philosophy. By utilising what many would consider waste, we can save things from degrading into the earth and also not contribute more emissions by buying something new.
There's ups and downs in every job, but I think I love puttying now. I hated it at first, but I'm having fun now. When it goes well, it's really satisfying.
These windows were just old frames, but in the last few weeks we've transformed them by using old techniques like cutting glass and puttying. Techniques like these have almost been forgotten, since most buildings opt for modern pre-made windows. I think it's so strange that as technology advances, things become worse quality, less aesthetic, and made of cheaper, flimsy materials. This window is over 100 years old, and it's made of sturdy steel in a beautiful design. We went to the local rubbish tip to find more glass, and we sorted through many modern windows, whose cheap materials had already begun to break, their styles already obsolete.
We're at the local rubbish tip finding old windows so that we can get the glass from them, so that we can reuse materials and keep them out of landfill. So we're just going through all the windows and working out which one's best. This one's in the rubbish. That's good. It's unusable because this one's usable for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
This is the tip shop, where they pick out things that are being thrown out and instead sell them cheap. I always find something that I want to buy. This time it was a billy cart, but Mum said no. What do you think? Should I sneak it home when she's not looking? I love this place, and I've collected some pretty awesome stuff from here. I remember when I was at fashion school, someone asked me where my leather jeans were from, and I said they were 50 cents at my hometown's tip shop. Half the students were disgusted, and half were really impressed.
I'm pretty stoked for $5 for all of these windows. That's great. And we're saving things from landfill. Feels pretty good.
I think it's an amazing place that can help not just to keep things out of the tip, but also change people's mindset on waste, seeing it not as a problem but a solution. The world really doesn't need new things to be made. There's enough junk that already exists that could last us a long time. If we could shift the way that the world looks at waste and see all of the possibilities in everything, understanding the power of reusing and repairing, seeing the beauty in upcycling, and knowing that each old, discarded piece of junk holds an opportunity. It's funny that zero waste is such a foreign concept to humans, because if you look around in nature, you can see that nothing else creates waste. Trees drop fruit, but they feed passing animals. Animals create droppings, but they feed the soils. There is no waste because nature doesn't consider anything to be waste. There is a coolmon tree by this creek that reaches high above the canopy. These are rare rainforest trees, only native within this ancient volcano caldera, and after years of deforestation, only a few remain. On these humid, late spring days, they blossom with pink flowers that grow straight off their trunk. With the heavy rains that come at this time of year, the flowers often fall and blanket the ground. Within their fallen leaves is a manifesto of how to live with no waste. Simply, it is to always give more than you take, to be orchestrated by the simple rule of reciprocity. The Culamon's root system stretches far. It weaves between rocks so that it can reach the creek and be fed by the constant water. But it doesn't just take the riches of the mountain water. It gives in return the security of woven roots that hold the banks of the creek in place in the biggest floods. Above in the canopy, its branches reach high and gather sunlight, but in return it gives the gift of shade to young ferns and palms growing below. The Bundjalung tree reminds us that this way of living is not new or revolutionary, it is a return. Following the Culamon's ways, we learn to see waste as a resource. These are the windows that we replaced up in the loft. They were originally something our parents collected from the side of the road. Then we used them for years, and now we're reusing their glass.
So to make the glass in the windows, we're going to be reusing these old windows glass because we never let anything go to waste. So we're just taking the metal from the outside and then we'll cut up the glass to the right size afterwards. But there's a bunch of dead spiders. It broke. I think that'll be enough though. Whole screw that time. This is all that's left of the window, the rest we're going to reuse, and this will go to the scrap metal, so it'll get reused into something else. The beauty of zero waste building.
Mum is cutting all of the glass to size. She made a template from an old sign and then traces it onto the glass. Because the windows are so old, they're pretty wonky, and each panel normally ends up a different size. Mum is a lead lighter, so she's quite a magician when it comes to cutting glass. It's so satisfying to listen and watch.
We've never built anything on the farm without using some old highway signs. This one says Pacific Motorway. There's some walls in the house that say no left turn. There's just signs everywhere. It's because our dad used to work on roads and I didn't want to believe that my dad was stealing from the job, but the signs were all there. No, he asked to take them home. But anyway, this is going to be a wall somewhere up the top. I'm going to separate the outside from the inside with an old sign, as we always do.
Despite being 100 years old, these windows are stronger and will last longer than anything we could buy new. You would think that with technological advancements that these days the products created would be stronger and last longer, but it's the opposite. As a sewer, I see this everywhere. I find a vintage pair of jeans that are more than 50 years old and I wear them for years, their seams staying strong and their denim fading softly with wear and stories. Then I find a fast fashion dress at an op shop and I wear it a few times before it rips and the dye runs and the thread unravels. For years I would buy new sewing machines. Excited with the technology, I was quickly left with a broken, unusable machine within just a few years. Then I discovered a sewing machine from the early 1900s. It was made before a time of planned obsolescence and it runs smoothly over 100 years later. This lesson always reminds me to create with a vision for the future. So, imagining the pieces will be worn for generations, or build, imagining the window framing the shifting view for many years to come. The sheep and goats hate the rainy weather, and they often protest by not moving paddock. Aphrodite gave birth to twins a few months ago, and they're getting so big. She is the leader around here, to the flock, but also to us, so when she decides she's not moving paddocks, we just have to listen. These days are hot, and the humidity builds up all day. You can feel it in the air, so moist, like a storm is forming before your eyes. The clouds start to grow and rainbows appear. Mist falls into the curves of the valley, and then, all of a sudden, a heavy shower breaks the humidity. We get these storms more often than not at this time of year, but they vary in strength each night. This one was massive and flooded the valley, cut off the roads, and caused havoc on our building site.
So we had a massive storm last night, and it looks like we've got a leak because all of the boards are completely wet. We don't buy anything new, and in this build this is the only thing that we've bought new, these expensive boards, and they're completely stained and soaking wet. I think that the window that we've been working on upstairs isn't completely sealed, so we had a tarp over it, but the storms have just been so intense, so I think that the rain must have come through the floor and then stained and made all the boards wet. And hopefully they'll be okay and won't warp, but if not, we've ruined a lot of boards. I just got a drip on my head. That's not good. There's huge storms predicted, so I don't think we can leave the boards here. I think we have to assume that the roof will keep leaking. It just dripped right now. So I think we're going to move the boards to somewhere else, hopefully save them from getting more water damage. I wired a little drying rack here so we can hopefully salvage the wood and make sure it doesn't go mouldy. So we've just put lots of things so that it can hopefully dry out. This is a spot that doesn't have any leaks, we hope. But there's leaks everywhere. This is why we're fixing it. There's leaks everywhere. Hopefully we can save these ones. I hope that they won't warp too much. Hopefully they'll be usable. So the problem is that the rain is catching on the scaffolding, and then it follows the scaffolding in, and then it causes a huge drip. And just because we're getting so much rain, it's flooding out there, so lots of the rain is just causing lots of damage. We just need to get this scaffolding gone ASAP, but we haven't finished all our jobs out there yet, and now it's storming.
The next night, it rained so heavily again, the leak continuing to flood the studio everywhere. It's a bit of a mess because we can't finish the job or take the scaffold down when it's raining, so it's just going to continue leaking and there's nothing we can do.
We're trying to aerate the space and make sure that these boards can get dry, and I just want to thank the support of all of my fans.
Over the next few days, we finished off the details and waterproofed this section of the studio. It's too dangerous to work on the scaffold in storms, so we had to just slowly get the last jobs done when the sun peeked through.
The windows are all finally waterproof so we can take down the tarp, which is kind of a big moment because this view looks incredible. I love that we can see up to the cliff faces so easily.
Even after so many hours of work, so many disasters, and so much water damage, I'm still very glad that we chose to restore these old windows. partly because they look so beautiful, partly because we save so much waste from landfill, but mostly because I got to spend hours working side by side with my sister and mum, learning, crying when our work got flooded, but laughing so much along the way. Thanks so much to our patrons for your support on our journey.